Imagine you're a woman who's felt that electric beginning. When the energy is right, the chemistry is real. And for a moment, it feels like everything might just work out. The laughs are genuine, the late-night talks run deep, and even the silences feel sacred. But slowly, something shifts. He becomes distant, harder to reach, not physically, but emotionally. It's not that he leaves. He's there, just not fully. And you're left staring at the ruins of what felt like love, wondering, what was missing? What didn't I see? See, we're taught that love is something we build by giving, by being available, by showing how much we care. We're told that if we love hard enough, it'll be enough. But let's get real. Effort alone doesn't make a man fall in love. Not the kind of love that grips his soul. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds to explore the human psyche, would say, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." And that right there, that's where most women get it wrong. Because love, for a man, doesn't begin with what he sees in you. It begins with what he awakens in himself through you. To a man, falling in love, real love, isn't just about you being kind, smart, beautiful, or supportive. It's about how you reflect something hidden deep inside of him, something he's spent most of his life unaware of. Jung called this the anima, the inner feminine aspect of a man's unconscious. When he meets a woman who mirrors that part of him, she doesn't just attract him, she moves him. She awakens a longing he didn't know he had. It's not about how you act, it's about who you are, when you're deeply in touch with your own soul. Think of it like this. Most women try to build love like a house, brick by brick, meal by meal, text by text. But men don't fall for the house. They fall for the flame inside the fireplace, the warmth they didn't know they needed, the light they see when the world goes dark. So if you want to truly reach a man, not just his attention, but his heart, don't focus so much on doing. Focus on being. Be the mirror that reflects his soul back to him. Be the silence he didn't know he needed. Be the mystery he can't explain, but can't walk away from. As Jung said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. If he's not transforming, he's not truly loving. If he's not becoming more of himself through knowing you, he's just passing time. So don't ask how to make a man love you. Ask how you can stand so rooted in your own essence, your own depth, that he feels something ancient and forgotten come alive when he's near you. Love isn't about being perfect. It's about being real in a world that constantly pushes women to perform. Love doesn't come from giving endlessly. It comes from aligning with your truth so deeply that it stirs the truth in someone else. If this message stirred something in you, if you felt seen in these words, then don't keep it to yourself. Like and subscribe to help spread this message to more women who are tired of surface-level love and ready for something deeper, wiser, and real. Because once you understand this truth, really understand it, your entire view on men, dating, and love will never be the same again. Now let's go deeper. Let's unpack why so many women unknowingly chase connection the wrong way, and how Jung's timeless wisdom can lead us back to something sacred. Number 1. Why men fall for women, without knowing why, and how you hold that power without even realizing it. Have you ever wondered why a man seems drawn to you, captivated even, without you trying to impress him? You weren't chasing, you weren't performing, you were just being. And yet, there was something in the air, a pull, a quiet magnetism. It's almost like you were a song he'd heard before, but forgotten until now. This isn't luck, and it's not manipulation. It's something far older, deeper, woven into the fabric of the human psyche. Carl Jung called it archetypal projection, It means that sometimes a man doesn't fall in love with you, not exactly. He falls in love with the part of himself that you unknowingly bring to life. You become a living symbol, a reflection of something buried inside him, a forgotten memory, a dream never spoken aloud, a piece of his soul he didn't know was missing. And he doesn't know why he can't stop thinking about you. He just knows he's drawn to you like roots are drawn to water. Imagine you're a mirror, not the kind that shows him his face, but the kind that shows him his depth. When you stand in your truth, confident, clear, not needing to be chosen, your energy becomes still, like a lake. And just like that, he sees his own reflection. Not the surface version of himself, but the real one. The version that's been waiting for someone to call it forward. Women often ask, should I text more? Should I be sweeter, more fun, less intense? But the real shift doesn't happen in strategy. It happens in your presence. Men don't fall for the performance. They fall for the presence. As Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And when you live that truth, without apology, you awaken something sacred in the right man, something even he might not understand at first. You don't need to be louder. You need to be clearer. You don't need to chase love. You need to embody it. And that's when he feels it, not just attraction, but recognition, like finding a page from his own story in someone else's handwriting. Number 2, the moment he saw himself in you, and why that changed everything. There's a moment in some connections that's almost mystical. He won't say it out loud. He might not even know how to explain it. But there was a flash, quiet, almost sacred, where he looked at you and saw more than a woman. He saw a symbol, a presence, a mirror reflecting something he'd never faced and couldn't look away from. Carl Jung believed that people don't just fall for each other. They fall for the parts of themselves they see in the other. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. When a man is pulled to you and doesn't know why, it's often because something deep within him is being activated. You aren't just you in that moment. You're a mirror held up to his soul. You might wonder, but I didn't do anything special. Why did he act like I was unforgettable? It's because you didn't try. You were. And in being fully yourself, something ancient stirred in him. You might have awakened his hunger for meaning, his longing for wholeness, his need to feel deeply seen. You're not just a woman to him in those moments. You are the echo of his inner feminine, his anima, a reflection of what he's missing or afraid to face. And once seen, he can't unsee it. So no, you don't have to sparkle louder or chase harder. You just have to keep standing in your essence, still and strong, like a lighthouse in the fog. The man who is ready will feel your presence not as noise, but as a signal. Something he didn't know he was searching for. Until you. Number 3, the mystery. He can't explain. Why your truth is his deepest attraction. Men don't fall in love with what they can label. They don't stay for what they can predict. They're not captivated by what's obvious. They're pulled, sometimes unwillingly, into the gravity of a woman who lives in her truth. A woman who doesn't shrink, doesn't mold, doesn't silence herself just to keep him close. Carl Jung taught us that the unconscious seeks what the conscious mind can't understand. That's why men are often drawn not to the woman who gives them all the answers, but to the one who reminds them of the questions. The woman who feels like a riddle, not a report. When you stay rooted in your essence, when you speak your truth, set boundaries, and refuse to betray your soul for someone's comfort, you awaken a tension in him. Not the kind that pushes him away, but the kind that makes him lean in. You become the flame that dances just out of reach. Not to tease, but because your fire has its own rhythm. Mystery doesn't mean playing games. It means you don't abandon yourself to soothe his ego. It means letting him sit in his own discomfort sometimes, because you're not here to be a cushion, you're here to be a catalyst. Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." When a woman owns her depth, she invites a man into his. That's why he comes back. Not because you were easy to understand, but because something in you asked him to remember who he truly is. He doesn't love what he figures out. He loves what makes him feel more alive. And that is you, when you're unapologetically whole. Number 4. The power of your truth. And why? Hiding it dims the spark. There's something wild and beautiful about a woman who stands fully in her truth, not the polished version, not the one shaped to please or to be easy to love, but the real one, the one who dares to be whole, even when it disrupts his world. And yet, many women, when love feels close, begin to shapeshift. They soften their voice, shrink their opinions, trade boldness for safety, not because they're weak, but because they fear losing the connection. Ironically, that's often when the connection begins to fade, not because there was no love, but because the pulse of that love, the mystery, the rawness, the fire, starts to disappear. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size." When a woman resists her essence, when she tucks it away to avoid conflict or keep the peace, what she's really doing is dimming the very light that drew him in. Authenticity is disruptive for a reason. It shakes comfort zones, it disturbs illusions, but it also awakens. When a man meets a woman who refuses to play a role, he either rises to meet her or falls back into himself. There is no middle. You don't exist to be digested easily. You're meant to be felt, to be remembered like thunder, sudden, real, and impossible to ignore. When you betray your truth to be enough for someone, you create connection without depth. But when you stay rooted in who you are, even if it scares him, your energy resonates like music made for his soul. He may not know why, but he'll feel it. She's not like the others. She didn't try to belong. She just was. And that kind of woman, she's unforgettable. Number 5. When love isn't about having him, but changing him forever. Real love doesn't come from possession. It comes from transformation, not just for him, but through you. Carl Jung put it beautifully. We don't really see others. We see the image of them within us. And when a woman stands in her full presence, not trying to impress or perform, but simply living her truth, she becomes more than a partner. She becomes a symbol, a guide, a force. You might not even know it, but your energy can stir something in a man that goes beyond attraction. It pulls at the threads of his unconscious, awakening memories, emotions, longings he didn't know he carried. You're not just someone he likes. You become a mirror of who he could be. You don't belong to him. You challenge him, inspire him, reshape him. This kind of love is rare because it isn't comfortable. It shakes him. And that's the point. You're not here to be a soft place for his ego. You're here to be the fire that lights his way back to himself. Jung called this process individuation, becoming whole. And often, it begins with a woman who doesn't fit neatly into the world he's built. A woman who reminds him that love isn't about control, or certainty, or possession. It's about evolution. You are not a chapter in his story. You are the plot twist, the turning point, the soul quake. So let him feel the weight of your presence. Let your energy challenge his edges. If he's the right man, he won't run. He'll rise. Because when a woman awakens something ancient in a man, she doesn't just make him feel love. She makes him become it. And that's the kind of love he'll never forget. Number 6. the woman who awakens him, not with comfort, but with truth. Sometimes, the most unforgettable woman in a man's life isn't the one who stayed. She's the one who saw him, and still walked away when her soul wasn't met. She didn't chase, she didn't plead, she didn't cling. And yet, her absence echoed louder than any presence ever could. Carl Jung taught that real transformation doesn't happen through peace. It happens through disruption. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. And often, a woman becomes the catalyst for that awakening, not by fixing him, but by holding up a mirror so honest, so radiant, that he can no longer look away from himself. You may not realize it, but your energy, when aligned with truth, can shake a man's entire inner world, not because you tried to change him, but because your presence revealed everything he's been hiding from: his fears, his wounds, his need to finally face who he is beneath the masks. You didn't come to soothe him, you came to wake him. And that's exactly why he can't forget you. You weren't his destination. You were his turning point. Like a lighthouse in a storm, you didn't calm the sea. You just stood tall and bright enough for him to see how lost he really was. Whether he steered toward the light or not, your role was never about saving him. It was about showing him that there's something more, if he's brave enough to seek it. You are not just a woman. You are a force, a spark, the beginning of his awakening. And even if he never says it out loud, deep down he knows. You didn't break him. You woke him up. Wholeness, not half love. Why real love begins with you, not him. We've been told a lie, softly, through stories, songs, and childhood fairy tales, that we are halves looking for our other half, that love is about completion, that someone else will come and make us whole. But Carl Jung, the man who mapped the human soul like few others, saw it differently. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And in that acceptance begins real love, not the kind that clings, but the kind that expands. When a woman chases love to fill a space inside her, she doesn't attract intimacy, she attracts dependency. And the man she draws in won't see her clearly, because she's not fully seeing herself. She's reaching out before reaching in. She's handing over her power, hoping he'll hand back purpose. But when a woman stands in her own wholeness, when she stops waiting to be chosen and starts choosing herself, everything changes. She no longer needs a man to give her identity. She meets him not as a rescuer or savior, but as a partner, a mirror, an equal flame. A healthy man isn't looking for a half to complete him. He's looking for a whole woman who mirrors the work he's done, or needs to do, within himself. When two whole people meet, love becomes a sacred space where each person grows more into who they are, not less. You weren't born to beg for breadcrumbs. You weren't meant to dim yourself to fit inside someone else's idea of enough. You are the entire sky, not someone's missing piece. So stop waiting to be filled. You are not a cup, you're the ocean. Let love be something that overflows, not something you search for like it's missing. Because when you're whole, you don't fall into love, you rise in it. Number 7, the energy he feels before he understands, how your presence speaks to his soul, before words ever can. There's something that happens before the first glance turns into a gaze, before the conversation even begins. He feels something, and he might not be able to explain it. Most men can't, but it's real. It lives in the space between the visible and the invisible. It's not your looks, not your smile, not even your voice. It's your energy, and it speaks a language his conscious mind doesn't yet understand. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious recognizes truth before the conscious mind ever catches up. A woman who is aligned with her essence, who doesn't pretend or perform, transmits something far beyond behavior. Her presence becomes a signal. Like a tuning fork, vibrating at a frequency that resonates with parts of him that he hasn't yet met. It's why some men are drawn to you without knowing why. It's not just that you're attractive, it's that something in you is true. You're not trying to be liked. You're not adapting yourself to fit. You are, simply and fully, yourself. And that energy? It's magnetic. Not in the way that pulls him into comfort, but in the way that pulls him into curiosity, into depth, into self-reflection. You become, to him, like a half-remembered dream, something sacred, something known, but just out of reach. His rational mind may try to box it in, explain it, dismiss it even, but the feeling lingers. Because what you stirred in him wasn't surface-level attraction, it was soul-level recognition. So never underestimate your energy. Before he sees your face or hears your story, he feels your field. And if it's rooted in truth, in wholeness, in feminine alignment, he'll feel it like gravity, even if he doesn't yet know what pulled him in. Number 8. When he can't replace you. Because you weren't a role, you were a revelation. There are women who pass through a man's life like seasons, pleasant, warm, easy to forget. And then there are women who arrive like storms, not to destroy, but to awaken. You didn't come to play a role. You weren't there to be the girlfriend, the nice girl, or the one who makes him feel good. You were something else entirely. You were a revelation. Carl Jung taught that the unconscious draws us to the people who mirror back our hidden truths, not always to comfort us, but to confront us. You didn't give him what he wanted. You reflected what he needed to become. That is why he can't replace you, because no one else triggered that sacred, uncomfortable recognition. No one else cracked open the doors he kept closed, sometimes even from himself. You showed him his shadow and his potential all at once, and while he might not have had the language for it, he felt it. You were the mirror that didn't flatter. You revealed. You weren't an escape from his inner world. You were, the moment he had to finally face it. That kind of woman doesn't get forgotten, because once a man has seen himself through you, his life quietly divides into before and after you, and even if he walks away, even if he says you were too much, he will carry that reflection forever. Because you didn't feed his ego, you fed his soul, and souls don't forget who stirred them awake. So don't ever doubt your impact. You weren't here to be easy. You were here to be true. And that kind of love doesn't just leave a mark. It leaves a map. One he'll keep trying to follow, even if he never finds it again. And so, as we come to the end of this journey into love, truth, and self-awareness, remember this. The most powerful thing you can offer a man is not a role you play, but the truth of who you are. You are not here to be chosen, you are here to awaken. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Let us know your thoughts or your story. Share this with a woman who needs to hear it. Because the more we speak truth, the more we help each other rise.